All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm gonna try to tap in a little bit with this lottery. Uh, First off, I want to say I don't own any copyright, so any music that you might hear, I just play the music so I can vibe out a little bit. Um, but first and foremost, for those of you that has you know purchased the book or even question about the book, I definitely want you guys to, especially if you're in my group, um, go to the group wall. And when you go to the group wall, up across the top on this PC, it shows more. So click on more, and you should be able to see albums. If you're on your phone, it should show images or albums. When you click on that albums, go down to the charts. When you go down to the charts, now you can save all these if you want, but what I'm getting at is go down, especially if you don't know mirrors, save that mirror chart. Save it, print it out or whatever. Secondly, especially for the ones that with the book, like, because a lot of um, this trip trigger chart here, a lot of it isn't, in the followers book. A lot of this information is based on the rundowns, which the followers is based on the rundowns, but from a different aspect of the rundown. Um, those of you that are in the group know that I use rundowns for pick 3 and pick 4 to produce the followers. And also on the pick 4 side and the pick 3 side, it's another rundown that I use to connect links, what I call direct links or links to a number. So, hey everybody, hey Princess, ask you. So definitely, if you don't have this saved, go save it. It's just a sheet you can print out, slide it in your book. That way you can always refer to these numbers as far as the trips go for your book. Even if you don't have a book, save this. It'll help you out with knowing what numbers triggering the trip or its mirror. So, like I said, if you don't have this one, also save that mirror chart if you don't know what the mirrors are. All right, so Virginia played the Sixers today. Now, I know I didn't make a post today for Virginia, but it was one from last month, the end of the month, for Virginia to play the Sixers, the Trip Sixers. So, what I want to get into as far as that sheet that I just showed you guys to save, as far as the trip trigger chart, I went ahead and looked at Virginia whenever I called those sixes, and those sixes, Virginia triggered them. It was in the last month, but that's what I want to get everybody attention on, is learning the patterns of numbers. So it's like, you can go a month and play the triple sixes in Virginia just to make sure you hit them. But you don't want to spend, heavy money every day to hit them whenever you can really pattern out these hits. For any state, any lottery, you can pattern the hits. A lot of it is based on the weekly thing, like Saturday to Saturday. A lot of it is based on midday to midday or evening to evening. So when you're looking at your state, like I went and this is Virginia pulled. No, this is actually Pennsylvania pulled up. We can go back and look at. I was going to go into the book starting with PA since they draw first. I was going to try to go along with per draw, just so players can get numbers in if they wanted to. I went back to PA by accident. Virginia is where I wanted to look at, where the Sixers fell today. Now, we see the Sixers fell today. We saw 044 hit last night. We see that 432 hit Thursday night. And also the 791 hit Thursday midday. They also had 788 on Wednesday. So just seeing all of that, the patterns of numbers, that's a trigger for a trip, which is the nines. That's a trigger for a trip, which is the nines and fours. That's a trigger for trips. It could be several trips. So just seeing the patterns in the state, you just got to keep an eye on what could come from a number as it hit the board. Just like here you have last Thursday, 869, which is also a trigger for the sixes that fell. You have 981, trigger for the sixes that fell. You have 190, a trigger for the sixes that fell. You have 687, a trigger for the sixes that fell. So they were showing a lot of triggers, but especially quite a few for the sixes and ones. But when I made the post on the group wall for VA for the sixes, was actually further back. Now, like I said, I told you guys to make sure you go to albums and save that chart. You save that chart, it'll help you. It's kind of like a cheat sheet. Not only for trips, but if a trip falls, you can tell what numbers usually come from that trip. Now, don't set it. This work would never change as far as the numbers and the connections to the trip, but you got to understand the lottery setup is obviously set up in patterns, but they also try to trick you. So just because you have a trigger for the sevens doesn't really mean that we're going to bring the sevens. You know, that the lottery is going to bring the sevens or the twos or the mirror to them. A lot of times they play the number, if you add one to each digit, they'll play the number higher. They'll play triple eights instead, or sometimes they'll play triple sixes instead. So in my group, a lot of times I say, keep in mind the plus and minus, because it's still within the patterns and they do it all the time. So you got to keep in mind, if you see in 103 hit North Carolina a lot, of course it may be triggering the threes and eights in those mirrors, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get the threes or eights. We could very well play the fours and nines, or we can play the twos and sevens. It's just the way that I try to cover all my options, but at the same time narrow it down to where I ain't got to play all trips as heavy. I can play all trips, but that don't mean I got to play them all the same amount of, trying to go hard on every one of them versus just narrowing down what it could be. So definitely save this chart, because right here I'll show you, and just the files across the bottom. You guys see files across the bottom. These are files I use to help the group to understand the connections for these numbers. So I went right to the 789 rundown because I know that's where it shows me that the trip sixes is connected to 554, right? So in this rundown, 789, you look, you got the 235 side, you got the 123 side. Go straight to the bottom, you see triple sixes and 554. The first number to hit the board today in Tennessee, if I'm correct, I'm gonna make sure I'm correct, because I'm gonna go back and look. I don't want to give any wrong information. So yeah, we see right here 554. Let me scroll up. 554. The first number to hit the board this morning. It set the tone for the day, whether they played the triple sixes or Texas played them. Regardless, they set the tone for that triple or one of the mirrors to show. So you guys got to really stay in tune if you're a daily player and you trying to win, you want to stay in tune with a lot of things that's going on, because this is one system. This lottery operates off of one system. All states, all countries that run lottery, they use the same system, a rundown system. Whether anybody want to believe it or not, this is where it comes from. Rundowns, the connections to numbers is here. For every rundown, you have the connection. So, as we see, the 66, the triple sixes is right beside the 554 because of, let me see, it may be too high, you guys can't see it. Okay, because of 789. Now we know 789 mirror is the 234 right there. You guys see it, 234. So when I go back and I look at Virginia again, like I said, they had multiple triggers for those sixes, but we all see Thursday night they played the 432. Now, like I said, they'll try to trick you. They'll play the 432 so you don't see it so obviously. If you look at the 789 rundown, it'll be real obvious to you that they're going to play the sixes. So they'll play mirrors to numbers the whole while leading up to that target number that we know or you know should show up or should hit. But they play the actual mirror to throw you off from that, to keep you from putting $100 on the sixes or, you know, what it might be. So please stay in tune with your state. Follow your state and you'll know the patterns that is taking place. Now we'll look right here in Virginia. Sixes fell today, and if you look on the 21st last month, they played 554. So I looked at this and I seen, okay, well dang, this is Virginia pattern for those sixes. They dropped the trigger as far as the split double, the indicator that I use the most. They dropped it exactly a month before they dropped the sixes. And that was the day that I called sixes for Virginia. It's been exactly a month. So like I said, if you're in my group, go to the group wall and save that trip trigger chart, the trip cheat sheet, or whatever you want to call it. But save that so you'll know what to look for when it comes to playing numbers off of trips or for trips in your state. It will help you. Add this to your arsenal. Put it in the book. Every time you look up a number, pull out that sheet. You know, it could be one of the numbers your state has played. You know, pull out that sheet and you can compare to the patterns that any state is doing. I looked through it, and Virginia, it wasn't always a month apart, and it wasn't always that fast, but I've seen where it was one time Virginia played the trigger the day before the actual trip hit. If you see right here, May 16th, 2015, 554 hit the day, which is a night. You see a night draw. Then the next night draw on May 17th, they dropped the ones. It came fast, but it came fast with the mirror. So if you go back and we'll look at that rundown once more, the 789 rundown, you'll see right here, 554 is beside the sixes. They played the 554 that night before, and then the next night they played the mirror to the sixes. So make sure you know mirrors. Make sure you at least know that. That's the first step. I know a lot of people use flips and that stuff. I'm not against it because flips do work, but I use them in a different way. The way I would use flips is like if 2-5 show, then of course you know the 5 flips to the 8, but you would just have to expect the 2-2-8 to hit the board. Not only those two numbers, you got to keep in mind of the mirrors, because a lot of times 2-2-5 will hit the board and 7-7-3 will come instead of the 2-2-8. Even though we know the 8 and the 5 flip, they'll bring the mirror to the number just to keep you thrown off. You gotta always consider that mirror um, with all the numbers. That's just the way I learned it. That's the way I learned lottery, and that's the way I see it every day on a daily basis. So I hope I'm not going too fast for everybody to catch on to what I'm saying about these trips, how they're connected to the numbers through the rundowns and the split double that gives you that trigger for whatever state. But you just gotta pay attention to the state to know the patterns, to know when these may trigger. All right. Yeah, Joetta, I don't really use the flips. I'm a mirrors guy. Like, I use those mirrors faithfully. It's been once or twice I might have posted a number and they played the mirror, and I kicked myself for not posting it along with the mirror. So that's Virginia. Let's try to tap into the book a little bit, and we see PA is the first state to draw this evening. So we're gonna look at PA, right? Try to see if we can see what PA is doing. So, looking at the book, right here I see today PA paid 246, and last night they played 268, 2-number run, or 2-digit return, however you want to look at it, from the previous draw. Friday, that was Friday when that played. Okay, Saturday night, I want to know what the number could be for Saturday night. Tonight, that's what I'm going to play, so I'm looking for Saturday night's number. First approach would be to, of course, check the 246 where it played today. Next step would be, of course, check the 268 that hit last night. And most importantly, you also will want to check that 241 that played last Saturday. Now, using the book, I already know, just because I know mirrors 241 and 246 is going to be on the same page because they mirror each other. They just change the one. Those numbers usually run together anyway. From a post I have posted on a group wall about my birthday mirrors, which is 623, that always brings those other mirrors, 241, 246, and all that good stuff. So, first I'll look at the 268. I might have to do this a different way. So I got it on that page with the 268. Now, if you guys notice, I looked at this a little bit before, so I didn't go into too much detail. But right offhand, I just start seeing numbers that I noticed hit, period. I noticed that 814 hit Florida today. So the fact that they played the 268 last night in PA, all states, this number 937 or the 482 is hot. It's going to play somewhere. If it hadn't already hit, it's coming because these numbers activated in that order. Okay, but looking at PA, if I look at PA history, I seen that 496 and that 941 hit. They played 268 last night. So that will indicate to me that 571 and the 026 is soon to show. I didn't go back a month to see when the last time PA played the numbers, but 571 in PA should show because you have the 268 that hit last night. Let me see if I can scroll it down so you guys can see it. 268 hit last night in PA, right? This is Pennsylvania, you see. All right, 268 is there. Now, the day before the 268 hit, right here you have 941. 941 hit the day prior. 946 hit the Saturday before. Okay, this is the following Saturday that we're looking at now. So look again at the book. You see right here, 571 is connected to the 694 and the 268. Right here, 149 is connected to the 173, which is the mirror to the 628, and you see the 026 is the connection. So two good plays for Pennsylvania would be the 026 or the 571. To try to catch the number straight, you probably want to play it forward and backwards. 175, 571. Same thing up here at the top with the 620. You could spend $2. You can play 50 cents each one of them straight. But I would always back my numbers up and play those numbers box just in case they don't play them straight, because there's other reasons why they may not play it in that order because of the other numbers below it. So 571, 175, 620, 026 would be great numbers for PA because of the 946 here, 941 there, and 268 there. It don't always happen fast. It don't always come quick, but those are targets for PA because they're setting the pattern for you. They're showing you the numbers that hit the board. They're setting the tone, and that's how you do. You look for the numbers that has hit in your state. So I'm gonna go to that 246, the one that hit today, just because 241 is on the same page, and they and they mirror each other. So when I looked at it, I seen 246 here, and I think the first connection I saw was that 617. So I'm gonna scroll up a little bit, and I'm gonna show you here in the book. Let me see. 246 is what I saw. What else? Okay, no. 241. Okay. Yeah, the 617, I'm sorry, the one that's highlighted, 617, is connected to one of the mirrors that Pennsylvania plays. So I went back a little bit further, and you see the 629 right there, right? Okay. So this is what I saw in the book. The 629 here, 617 here. 617 is a follower. But the numbers that's connecting those two together is the 730. 730 and 285 is a number that's missing in Pennsylvania just from looking at the past history of numbers that has played. Now, through that time, I noticed no 730, no 285. I don't see 785. I don't see 230. I don't see 235. I don't see 780. I can keep going on and on. The other two mirrors is what? What's that mean? 578, 230. I said it already. It's 8 mirrors to that number, but none of them. There go to 751. So that'll probably cancel out that 751 and the 206 that I was talking about on the previous page. But if you notice, that number hit first prior to the 946 and 941, which brought the 268 last night. I don't want to get too sidetracked. I don't want to. I mean, it doesn't confuse me, but I saw it throughout, researching this. So I want people to understand, like, it's a pattern the way they run these numbers. You see, I was just talking about how that 571 should have showed. They had already played it. They played it in a different order, which it came 751. It would just bring this 874 to light and the 329 to light now, because PA played the 268 and the 751. The connection was already there weeks prior. So once you see the connections, like the 751 played, it's 2-3, almost 3 weeks. Then you finally see 946 hit the board. Once you made that connection, then it's not too long from now you'll see the 713 or the 268. Exactly what happened. This is not to I don't want to get no one discouraged because you see how far apart that 751 had hit. But when it hit, of course it's doing its thing now. All through these numbers, it's still doing its thing. You just got to do the research and look at all the followers. We hadn't even looked at 751 followers yet. But we saw that just based off of what we're looking at from today, from last night, the 268. We just made that connection from looking from there. Now, like I said, it's other numbers that's being produced the whole time. You know, the 826 did come before the 946, and a lot of times you just have to kind of. I try to pattern my numbers from, if that was Thursday, I would start looking for the 946 Thursday. Not saying that it couldn't hit that night right after that number played, but you just have to keep digging and make these connections to see what's about to go down in your state. Just scrolling back here at the first, the way PA did that right there, the way they play those split doubles, both of those are trigger for trips. That's for the sixes. That's for the fours. It just lets me know that it's sometime soon you're going to see a repercussion to that. PA will probably drop the fours. It could be December the 1st by the time they do it. But that's something you got to keep in mind with your states and their patterns. It could be, December the 1st, they might play the fours and the sixes on the same day. It's just things you got to look for once you're seeing these numbers hit the board. So I'm going to go back into, like I was talking about, that 629, because I saw that, and it's on the same page with the 241. They got the 241 that hit last Saturday. They got the 246 that hit today. Now, if I go back to the group wall where we was looking at, you see 629, 624, and the 124 right there. They all trigger fours and nines, 949 or 494. Let me see. I go back and check, and I don't think we seen 449, 994, none of those numbers in PA since all those triggers was hitting. I seen quite a few. I seen the 467, 647 right there. What else I saw? I saw a lot of them. At least 5 of them I know play. We know 246. We know the 241. There you go, 471. All of those numbers, the 629, all those numbers trigger fours and nines. Now PA hasn't showed anything toward the fours and nines in this last 30 days that we're looking. I think it's 30 days, 22nd. Yeah, this is about 30 days that they give you on that one sheet. And they're going to 426 again also. Now, the only thing I see close to that is that V-track right there, the 5050. The -1 from that number is 949. So, they still could recently played numbers, they still could come back and play the nines or fours. I don't know if they played them last month. I didn't do no Pacific State research. I'm just looking at there we go. 499 played September the 30th, but with that being so far out, they can easily repeat it or come back with one of the mirrors like the trips. Just based off of those type of numbers that's on this page, and I know, using that trip sheet, you'll see that they're connected to them right there across the top part. Your math connection direct connected to the trip. It should say the trip, but that's what it is. It's showing the trip that's directly connected to these numbers. So if I go to the group wall and I type in what's that, trip rundown, you will see in every rundown that those numbers they match up to every trip that I have posted on that sheet. Like I said before, a lot of this stuff is based on the rundown. This is where I get it from. Trip rundown. So I think we're still on PA first draw for the night, and I didn't even type the right one in. For PA for the night, we're still looking at the possibility of the 730, 285. We haven't seen that hit the board in PA. And like I said, these numbers can play forward or backwards to create the best possible straight hit. So here we go, trip rundown 0 to 9. So like I said, if I go to the trip fours, you see in this rundown of the trip fours, you see the 624 here, 264 here, which is the 719 mirrors. You see the 679, which is the 124 mirrors. You see the 219, which is the 764 mirrors. That is why those numbers are on that sheet, because they come from the rundowns. That's why these numbers are in the book the way they are, because the rundowns produce them that way. So I'll go back. I think we were still looking at PA. And to look at this 241 at PA played, I can see it right here on the bottom by my hand. 241 and 679 are the mirrors to each other. And you see that below you have the followers. So looking back at what they have played from last Saturday night to 241, the only number I see connected from recent draws would be that 941. And if you look at the book here, 419, 964 mirrors to each other. They're connected to this 124 by that number there. 532 and 087 is a connection to the number that played last Saturday night and the number that hit Thursday midday. Now, I don't see anywhere, I was just mentioning that about those mirrors, unless they're holding, it's the last page in the book to be correct. That's the last page. It's going to show those mirrors to the 287, 35, 532, and 087 should be good plays for PA. All these numbers on the last page of the book are mirrors to each other. They should be good plays for PA because the 124 and the 419 that we just looked at right here, 124 from last Saturday and 419. So unless PA is going to play a trip or a false trip of that nature, and they proceed with playing regular numbers off of the followers book, then you have a good possibility that they're going to see these mirrors soon. 073 528 we seen, 078 523 we saw. A lot of their hits are being connected by those numbers. So use lottery posts, which is easy for me to use, and other people know how to use it even better than I do. But use lottery posts and research your state. So as I look, that was PA. PA is the first draw. Let me close that out. Let me see. I got a charts. We was at PA. I'm gonna look. I think South Carolina is the next up state. I made a post today on South Carolina pertaining those doubles. Now, certain doubles that run with each other, and I'll go into that real quick about that doubles that I posted with the $. New York played one off of it. A few of them hit today. Arkansas played 115, I think. New York played the 006. I'm gonna go back and make sure everybody can kind of see. Okay, yeah, 115 Arkansas, 733 Connecticut. What else we have? We have the 006 New York, like I said, 737 South Carolina. So, let me see. Go right here. I'm going to take you right to the rundown. So, whenever, I don't know if it's going to let me. There we go. Let me see. Type in 773. So, when I look at the 773 rundowns, if you guys notice, one of the numbers. Oh, did it even come up? Okay, there you go. All right, so right here the top, 773. Now in that same rundown, if I keep adding the add one, like if I get to the bottom, that 662, if I add one to that number, each digit, adding one to each digit is gonna be 773. It just keep taking me back and forth in the same rundown. That's all a rundown is. You just keep adding the add one to every number. It just brings you back and around. Okay, so a lot of time with the patterns of every rundown, whether it's the state or the same state, a lot of times with the patterns, what happens is if 773 play, a lot of times they don't come right away with the 662. They skip over it. They'll drop something like the 551. Or like if 228 hit, they don't always come with 339. The next drop, they'll skip over it and play 440. VA played 044 last night. So just like the mirror to the 228 is 773, they skipped over the 117 and played 006. So this is why my post, let me see, my post today of that set, which I've posted that set numerous of times. If I go on to, let me scroll up to that post. I hope everybody paid it. There we go, right there. These always run together. And all it is showing you the 773 and 228 is in the same rundown with 155 and 600. They usually skip that one number in between, which is the 117 or 662 got skipped. So that's the pattern that usually happen. They'll drop this number and they'll come drop one of these, or they'll drop one of these numbers and then they'll come drop one of these. So these, as everybody know, 822 is the mate to 882. 337 is the mate to 377. So once you understand the mates to numbers, then you know that those four are in the rundown together over here. These four are in the rundown with each other also. So they're just swapping patterns throughout the day, all state. You see 115 hit the board. You see 733 hit the board. You see that up top? So, I mean, it's just ways for, it don't matter what double hit the board. It's ways to make money off these doubles if you understand the patterns, the rundowns, where they're getting these numbers from. So, like, if I go back to the doubles rundown and I type in 337, then you will see it. 115 is right here. 337. So 115 hit the board. They skip over the 226 and the 771, and they play 337. Every rundown. I don't care if it's a pick four number, single, a triple, a quad, or whatever. This is what happens. If they play a quad 7, they'll skip over the 8 and play the 9. Everybody can look in the history right now and see how quad 7s and 9s and quad 4s and quad 2s cycle with each other. Same things with the 3s and 8s. If quad 3s hit, they skip the 4s and play the 5s. It's pattern. It's pattern, you guys. You got to really dig deep, look at your state, and look at all states to see patterns like that, to know what numbers are good to play, whether it be that exact number or the mirror. So let me go back into South Carolina. We was looking at the 773. That's why those doubles are posted. Like I said, they played that number today. Don't be surprised if you see another one of those doubles hit South Carolina soon, like the 228, 773. I mean, not the 773, the 228 or 882, or you can see the ones with the 1 and 5 and the 660, which I know South Carolina played. Probably was repercussion of that number. Let me go back to, I know they played it not too long ago. It might have been last month sometime. 115, 660. The day the 21st. Where they play 448. Probably, I think that's in that same rundown. It's been a minute, but that just lets me know that South Carolina gonna take off with them again soon. They're gonna 0-0. They're gonna 0-66. They played. That was in September, almost 2 months ago. But you see, right after that 0-66 hit, they played 7-7-3. So that's things you gotta look for. So is South Carolina getting ready to do that again? They're gonna play the 660 back, or they're gonna go with another number like 600. Rundowns. The lottery is based on rundowns. You guys, once you understand that, you can understand the flow of these numbers on a daily basis. South Carolina played the 785 last night. I think they played. Who played 689? Somebody played. Okay, 785. I'm just glancing real quick so I can see if I see connection to the numbers that they recently played. 580, 530, no. 575, 746. Oh, yeah, man, come on. It was right there. I mean, that's a slap in the face. Look right here. Y'all can't see it. I'm going to have to back it up. Get my hand out of the way. There you go. 578 last night, their followers. 773 is right here. It didn't come straight forward or backwards. But we know that's a double. You can put 50 cents on the doubles. How many doubles are in that set? Even if you played the mirrors, you got 1 double, 2 double, 3 doubles. That's 6 total. Doesn't mean another one isn't coming, but keep in mind, South Carolina could go right back to one of these doubles soon, whether it be tonight, tomorrow, or the next draw. But you have 044, 599, which VA played that 044 yesterday. You got 887, which that number hit today and yesterday, 788. You got the 797. You got the 242. 332 is the mirror to the 887. So if you want to narrow down your plays, you can at least focus on the doubles from the followers to your number. But being that South Carolina played 578, 773 today, that I don't know. I gotta switch this up a little bit. There we go. Being that they played that today, 896 and 341 would be something to think about. Now, I would have to scroll back a little bit because I want to make sure the 341 and 698 hadn't already triggered the number. So if I look back, I see on the 27th of October, which is pretty much they were well on their way, finishing up numbers from a month ago. That number backwards, you guys can see that number backwards from 773 will be 896 is how it showed it. So 698 is the actual way it fell. But it made the connection to 773 and 578 last night. 785 is how it hit. Then come the next day draw with 773. Any one of the numbers could still play. The way they played the number before was 698. So it would make me think that the 575 with a 020 is possible for South Carolina. Possibly tonight, especially if they're due the double zeros or the double 5. Well, I think the last 100 hit was the 900. So that would give me something to look for if we were going to play, if South Carolina was going to play the 5-5 pair or the 100 pair again. Just keep that in mind. We just talked a little bit about flips earlier, right? If a 2, I don't even know the flips chart by heart, but I think the 2 does flip to a 9 or a 7 flip to a 4 or something like that. So if they played 090 already, they could easily play 070 or 020 to match what they already played previously. So this is how I take the steps to actually track a state, to really research the patterns and stuff that's going on, and the reason why these numbers are hitting in that state. So, like I said, looking at what they played before, and they played at 698 in that order, I would consider 575, which would be a two-digit return from last night and the night before. I would consider 575 or 020, especially the 020 if they're going to bring another 100 pair from November the 7th. Let me see. I don't even know how that matches up with the date, but it could line directly up to it. Let me go up here and look at the calendar over here. Yeah, look at November the 7th. November the 7th was the first Saturday of the month, and it's still in line with this Saturday, the 21st. So if that was the last time they played a 0-0 pair, then very well so they could play a 0-0 pair tonight. And that number being connected like that, 578 and the 698, could lead you to the 575 or 020 hitting because of the 698. Now, to further your research, then you go to the 698 rundowns. You want to see how it's connected to the 578 on its own 698 followers. You want to go to the followers for this number to see what other numbers connected. It may already hit, it may already play, but you want to make sure you're doing that research to know, the possibilities of what numbers could hit. So I'm gonna scroll back. I found the 698 on page 35. I had to write the page number because somehow the printing process didn't put the page number on each page. So I'm gonna try to make sure I keep it clear where people can see it. Now looking at 698 followers right there, this part of the screen. If you guys notice, right offhand, I noticed the 600 that New York just played. A connection to the 587 and the 689. Now, we know some numbers can hit 3 times a day in different states across the U.S. We know the numbers can play the mirror the same day. So that would give me a good indication that South Carolina could catch the 600 still. They can play the 155 still because they already had 689 and they played that 785 backwards. If you look at it the way they played it, it produced North Carolina here today. 088 is the connection to 785 and 689. These numbers just rotate. It's the same stuff in every state. Same thing will happen in North Carolina too. We've played the 134 a hell of a lot, but you see the mirror to 689 is the 134. So you really got to tap in. You really got to dig into what your state has been playing to see these connections, to see these numbers that are really they're unfolding in your face every day. Once they hit the board, the number hit 737, but we'll be like, oh, I played 747, but we ain't trying to do no research to see when the 737 last played, what hit, what brought the number, what follows it, what's the followers to it, what's in the rundown with it. You really gotta tap into these numbers to know the patterns that's going on in your state. So, like I said, South Carolina. They played the 785 last night. It did not come 857, but you still got to consider the fact that 970 or 425 is a possibility because of those two numbers did hit South Carolina. Both of those numbers hit South Carolina. It came in this order, 785. We looked at the other sheet where the 698 had played. That's why we was talking about the 575 and 020. But you really have to take the book and cross-examine it with the numbers that are falling in your state. Did 974 hit South Carolina? Yeah, played 497 here, right? What was that? That 689 was way down here, 698, October the 22nd. Then on the 9th, they played the 974. So that would give it a good indicator again on the 097 and 542 should show in South Carolina soon. They did play a mirror to it previously, the 975. So you just take those steps and you get an idea of what numbers got to show. They may not come that draw, it could be the next day. And then, you could come up with 10 different numbers. If you keep looking, if you keep digging, you can come up with a lot of different numbers, but you have to go a little further, especially, like I said, the ones in my group, you can go check the rundowns and compare, because the links from the rundowns sometimes hit next draw, sometimes next day, like day to day or evening to evening. Same thing with the followers. They'll do the same thing. They could hit, the patterns could change where they could hit back-to-back draws, just like South Carolina did last night. 785 hit, the follower hit from it the next draw. No mirror or nothing. It's right there in the it's right here in the book. 773 is a follower to the 785. It hit the next draw. So a lot of this stuff can happen that way. It can hit the very next draw. It sometimes doesn't wait 2 days, 3 days, or a week, or a month. But if you use it and you follow those patterns, just like I said, if you seen 578 last night, and if you looked in the book, you seen that 578 hit, and okay, we already know 698 hit. You may would have targeted the 575 or the 200 first. But if that number was backwards, 896, I think that's why they produce 773, 228. So this is the steps to take to get to your hits using the followers book. I'm signing off. I done talked a lot about this book, and I'll come back and I'll do more videos on other stuff in the group wall, I got to do a video on the files. I really got to let people see, especially my file users. It's about 15 to 20 members in the group that did purchase the file, and all the information is here. Everything you can think of for every number, pick 3, pick 4, is here. Doubles, singles. Even this file, the add 1 minus 1 file is what I call it, is the followers book. This is where I get the information for the followers book. From there, they're actually taken from the rundowns. These numbers in the 1, 2, 3 columns are what produce, the rundowns on the 1, 2, 3 side of the rundown will produce your followers. That's one of the files. And you also have your pick 4 followers. Pick 4 followers are produced from your pick 4 rundowns. No matter what the number is, you just type it in. Let's see. Whether it's a triple, a quad, whether it's a double. Of course, the quad only can come one way, so you see the rest of the rundowns are duplicated. But this tells me everything I need to know about a number. This, and then refer back to lottery posts for search. Things just like I showed you about with VA and the trigger to those 6s. So it really runs deep. And you guys, if you want to really win and constantly win at this game, it takes studying. And I'm not saying that I'm winning every day, because I'm not studying every day. I don't play as hard every day. But when I do get ready to play, I do study. I do make sure I have something in mind, from the followers book, the rundowns, a lot of the links from the rundowns I remember just off the top of my head. So, walking in the store, if I just look back and see what number we played, I'll play the links to it, or I'll play something pertaining to the rundown. And that's not on a daily basis. I got a lot of stuff going on, especially these last couple of weeks, and I hadn't played as much. But I did catch those sixes in VA though. I knew it. I knew it right here from Tennessee. I didn't know they was going to VA. I got sidetracked because I didn't remember the posts from the from late last month on the 21st, 28th. I think the 28th is when I posted again. A girl had inboxed me from VA, and she asked me what to play, and I think I did give her the sixes, but I can't remember exactly which. Was it something else Virginia played on the 28th or what? But I know they played the 5-5-5-4 on the 21st of last month. But today, this indicator was all I needed to see. That's all I needed to see to be able to play the ones, the sixes, all state midday, just to secure a little hit, So sometimes it takes that. You sit back a little while and you watch the flow of the game, and you may not even have money in there early enough to play Tennessee or Texas, but when you see what hit the board, you can quickly load your bet in real quick. For 12 o'clock, you have the funds in there, and you can run. I think I loaded $40 or something, and you spent less than that running a few trips that I did. I think I ran all the even trips, except for the twos, and I ran the ones and threes. I'm still thinking threes are going to hit today. I ran the threes all day. So yeah, it's just like that sometimes. I'll sit back and, a few draws to see what's going on, then jump in there and play what should show, and then profit off of it. All right, I'm going to sign off, and I'll come back and do more videos about different stuff that's in this group that you guys can really tap into and gain a lot of knowledge from. I'm going to come back. I know I did PA and South Carolina a little bit, but I'm going to keep trying to do a lot of these states. It's the same thing for all these states. Even if it's a one-draw state, you just got to look at the patterns. A lot of these numbers that are hitting today, and especially in a one-draw state, it could be from a number that hit last month. You just got to look at it that way. It's not like you got to play a number all month long once you learn the patterns. Exactly how their patterns are going. All right? You guys be blessed.